I certainly wasn't trained in any of this stuff. So when you start getting people attacking you personally or your brand or whatever it may be,
it has been tough to learn to ignore.
You've obviously got to check in with your staff members and stuff here, obviously.
If you're not scoring enough goals, if there's certain elements within the business that I think I'm weak at, and I could employ someone to do it, or I could set up a brand or invest in a business who are the best in their lane at doing.
One said to me as well when he was born, he says, Craig, take your wife and your kid everywhere you can while
I definitely could not retire, and for that reason I want to try and earn the money, not be gifted or win the money, if you get what I mean. How are we doing?
I'm good, lads, I'm good.
So today I'm joined with Craig Campbell. I'm up in Glasgow at his office, and today's video is about business in general, family and growth. So let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, the first one I want to kind of ask you about is negative feedback. So over the years, I've known you for a long time now, and obviously you've got a lot of fans and a lot of followers, but then obviously with a lot of fans and a lot of followers comes a lot of haters. So how do you deal with negative feedback in general?
I think obviously at the start, as you will know, because I think I spoke to you about a lot of the stuff, and you were one of the guys that like just block and ignore. My initial reaction was, I'm going to fucking start having an all out Barney with these people, and I think that's just natural. As you're not trained in any of this stuff. You're not. Well, I certainly wasn't trained in any of this stuff. So when you start getting people attacking you personally or your brand or whatever it may be, it can be a hard one to swallow, and you do feel like I'm going to defend it the same way you would defend your house or your kid or whatever. So there's kind of that, but obviously speaking to various other people and having retaliated to some of the stuff in the past, it's not always the wisest thing to do. So I think obviously the right thing to do is kind of just block and ignore. The more experience you get, you kind of see the type of people that do troll you. You've no doubt had your fair share of people going, big arsehole. And I think you have actually, SEO chavs and all that, cause we're drinking beer, and things like that. For me now, the way I think about it is, who are these people and why are they saying it? Because a lot of the time people have said stuff about me who haven't spoke to me, have never worked with me, they couldn't tell you the first thing about me, but they're quite happy to say I'm this or that or whatever, without actually knowing a guy. Like, whereas, people look at the things where it was the night out in Manchester that we had with the champagne getting poured down people's necks. People are like SEO chavs and all that stuff. I think that was one of the ones where you were like, nah, just ignore it, just block and ignore. And I'm like, nah, man, these people are fucking saying this. I think it's hard to deal with at the start, but I think you do eventually get thick skin, and when you realise it's probably, anyone who's successful, who's earning real money, are you really bitching about someone else, or are you like, nah, I like that guy, I can see what that person's doing. We've obviously got other people, Gary Wilson, very successful guy. You see the Reddit threads about him and people want to scratch his car and stuff, and you're just like, Jesus. So the type of people who look at that and troll these people tend to be the ones that are not doing that well in life. And that gives me some kind of comfort to go, right, that's the type of person that's doing it. If I was getting trolled by people that were actually successful, and they were saying, oh, Craig, you're a fucking bullshitter and you're this and you're that, then you'd maybe have to look at what you were doing at that point. But I would like to think that I've not really done too much to annoy people or anything like that. So I just block and ignore and just go with the kind of thought process that these people, that doesn't matter whether you're shaking your ass on TikTok or, I've done a presentation actually recently. If you look at Taylor Swift on YouTube or whatever, she gets hell. You look at Brad Pitt, someone will be giving him hell. It does not matter who you are. You are copying some amount of shit. And that again gives you some sort of comfort where you're like, nah, like if it's good enough for David Beckham, then fuck it, I'm going to have to take some if you want to put your face out there. But I wouldn't let it put me off. Certainly that would be the advice I'd give to people, is don't let that type of negativity put you off, because genuinely 95% of the people that I've come across in life, because I've put myself out there, have been positive, and I've made good friends. Like I met you, I was obviously speaking at the doing that Chester SEO meetup and stuff. So putting yourself out there, networking, doing videos, whatever it may be, has been massively, massively successful. So I would always encourage people not to let that put you off. But you've had it as well. But I'd be curious to know, you're obviously quite a calm big guy in my opinion, and you're always just like block and ignore. You couldn't have always been like that, though.
No, definitely not. I mean, it has been tough to learn to ignore. Like you said, the first reaction is to retaliate. But every single time you do retaliate, it kind of just puts you in a worse position, and then they come back again. And you end up spending time with these trolls when you could be spending more time with your kids. You could be spending more time in growing your brands and being more successful. So it is just better, I think, to ignore, mainly because of the time that's involved in trying to respond and trying to defend yourself. These people, I don't need to show who I am to those people. No. As long as my friends, my family, and business people around me understand who I am and what I do, then for that reason, it's easy just to ignore. Sometimes I think it's difficult though when you've got staff and they're seeing it and they start asking you questions about it. That's where I think it starts to become a little bit more difficult, which moves me on to the next question with regards to, obviously you've got Campbell, which is a very, very well-known brand now in the world within SEO. And I see you now start pivoting away and leveraging your brand in building other assets and other kind of brands up. What do you get involved in the hiring and firing of other brands and other assets that you're building?
No. Yes and no. So, like Links for You, for example, the business partner I've got there is Graham Grieve, who you've met. He would deal with that, because you've got to realise, and I think you're probably very similar to me in this respect. I probably stole it from you. You've got to realise your strengths and weaknesses. Is my strengths hiring and firing staff, or is my strengths promoting stuff and talking in front of a camera and using the knowledge and experience that I've got? And one of the reasons that attracted me to doing that business with Graham is he is the exact opposite of me. He is very structured. He is very much on people, and he'll hire and fire. I don't like firing people. He is ruthless. Like we had someone actually. And how long did that person last? About 24 hours. The job description was, you're writing content, it's press release stuff, and it has to be unique and all that kind of stuff. And they used AI, and he checked it, and he just like, you're not for us. You were specifically told AI is not acceptable. And, I think you have to be ruthless to do that. And I don't particularly like that. I can be ruthless with certain things, but I don't like to do that. And certainly the people in here, like Luke and Kyle, who do certain things, they've got people they use that they'll utilise, or content writers and stuff. I don't know who they are. I couldn't even tell you their names. And for me, it's having the team and the experience, and obviously having the trust in those people to go and do those things as well. Because I think one of the biggest bottlenecks I ever had when I first started out and had my agency was I was doing everything. I was the sales guy, I was the invoice guy, I was the guy that hired and fired. And I think, I built myself into the business rather than working on the business. And that's something you've always harped on about for many years, is don't do that. You want to work on the business, you want to have multiple businesses, grow multiple brands. And could I do all of that, hiring and firing and get involved in all that stuff? Absolutely not. No chance in the world. You've obviously got to check in with your staff members and stuff here. Obviously I've got some staff in here, but the guys that have been in here have been with me for years and years and years and have a very specific job, such as video editing and stuff. So obviously these people, even at that, I'll tell you a funny story. Me and my previous business partner, who's no longer in the business, we were hiring and firing a lot of the wrong people. And both of our wives went, you guys are fucking hopeless at hiring. You're picking the wrong people. You know, if someone's flirting their eyelashes at you or whatever, you know, you're hiring them. And we weren't hiring it based on someone flirting or whatever. But, you know, that's kind of, the wives are like, give us a shot. We'll hire. And the last person that we actually physically hired for the office was young Sam. And she's been around for how long? 6 years? 6 years. So there's probably something in that you know, it's just an area where my wife and my business partner's wife at the time were able to hire better than us. And so yeah, obviously you've got to realise your strengths and weaknesses, and obviously utilise your time wisely, because that's, you know this as well. Your time, what you spend your time on is really, really important. And I don't want to be bogged down by shit like that. I just fucking can't be bothered looking through CVs.
Yeah, that's class that you've realised that you're sales and marketing, and that's where business partners comes in. Very important, understanding your weakness, which could be hiring, building a culture, operations. That might not get you out of bed and it like make you go, oh yeah, I'm excited for today. So what does generally get you out of bed, like in the morning, and excite you? Is it growth of the brand? Is it learning new things? Like what excites you when you're coming into work?
Probably the growing the brand and stuff. Like over the past couple of years, I've had to rejig what we do, and had to split up everything. I had another business partner. Obviously, we parted ways and stuff like that. So I've kind of had to rejig what I do. Obviously, COVID didn't help, you know, with things as well. So after COVID, the business partner decided he wanted to go and do his own thing. Then I had, like, you know, various other brands, but I couldn't physically. Believe it or not, I actually had to bin 5 businesses in the last year. I had so many opportunities that I was grabbing, and I wasn't able to do them all because I didn't have the right partners in place and stuff like that. So probably in the last 18 months, I've been trying to get rid of things that I just wasn't able to apply the right amount of time to. Didn't have the right partners with the right experience in some of those businesses, and basically consolidate stuff and basically start from, not from scratch, but, you know, start again and just get the right people, and do a couple of things really well, rather than, you know, 5 or 6 different businesses that were half-assed.
Yeah.
So I've spent a bit of time kind of doing that in the last couple of years, which has been, it's been the right thing to do, absolutely. Doing that and you know, trying to grow things, doing what I'm good at, you know, in terms of, you know, the kind of brand side of things, you know, being the personal brand, that kind of, I enjoy that kind of stuff. I think it's fun. I can have a good laugh with it, and I've got to utilise the personality and you know, have a bit of fun with it. And a lot of people are saying, like, even when you speak, you're a really funny guy. So I think, you know, I've now realised where my strengths do lie, and I'll just get other people to do the heavy lifting. So getting up in the morning, obviously we always want to make more money. I do want to get involved in more brands, which I am, and doing that and just having the right team and the right business partners around that. And obviously that's something you've done very, very well. You know, I've looked at you and what you've done over recent years, and obviously you've got Carol Hudson and Vedic Kazra and Scott and all that stuff involved in that Searcharoo business, and you've got Leo and various other businesses. And I think that's not something you've done overnight. You know, you've known these guys a long, long time, and people don't realise that some of the mistakes I've made is maybe getting into business partnerships with people that I didn't know that well and trust, and you know, that's probably something I've kind of failed in to some degree. Whereas you have, I know you've got a good relationship with Leo. You've known Leo for God knows how long, but Hudson as well. You probably met Hudson around about the same time you met me years ago, because he was one of the ones that came down to the mastermind. I don't think you were particularly bosom buddies at that point. And obviously things develop and stuff like that. So I think, you know, I've made mistakes and had businesses that haven't went too well for one reason or another. But I'd be curious to know your take on how you've done it, because you've obviously somehow been there before me. I say to people all the time, I started out as an SEO guy and you know, and somehow ended up hiring a web designer and stuff like that. Whereas I probably think you somehow have always seemed to be more of a businessman. I'm not saying you're not good at SEO, but you've always had a fucking weird business brain. You look at it from a different angle from me, and I think that's sometimes maybe why you beat people to the punch in terms of, you know, setup and networking. And I think everything's obviously clearly very deliberate now. When you look back, you're like, this bastard's fucking been schmoozing these people and looking for people with maybe certain skills or you know, trust things. And I know trust's a big thing you look for. So I'm just curious how you see it, because...
So for me, it is about time management. How can I try and do my best to scale as much as I can, but with the least amount of time for me to be able to scale it? So if I've already got the team in place for, let's say, marketing and sales, similar to yourself with SEO, which we're pretty good at SEO, but SEO is just one arm of us growing. You've obviously got paid ads and other things like social media and actual brand building. But if we could team up with the right partner in something who's brilliant at what I'm weak at, like Leo, probably the easiest way of explaining this would be like a football manager. If you've got your team and you're knowing that your centre-half's pretty weak, you need a new centre-half, or you don't have a centre-half, do you know what I mean? You need to try and acquire a decent centre-half, or you need a striker if you're not scoring enough goals. If there's certain elements within the business that I think I'm weak at, and I could employ someone to do it, or I could set up a brand or invest in a business who are the best in their lane at doing, let's say, technical SEO. I could end up buying a technical SEO agency that have got the top person, but they've also got 5 or 6 staff already that can run all these different audits or run server logs or whatever is needed. I just go and acquire a business that, knowing that now I can still promote that and plug in my sales and marketing to grow that business up, but I can also then leverage the team to be able to fix any of my existing sites. So like the Leo scenario, Leo applied for a job as an apprentice with Matt Diggity maybe 8 years ago, and Matt messaged me and Jason Carpusis, who are business partners, and said, listen, this guy's too intelligent for me to employ as an apprentice. Like, he's a genius. So I started speaking to him, and a lot of stuff he did like went above my head. But he was a genuinely lovely person. I got to know him for a couple of years. I got to know Morgan, his wife, really well. She's another one who's on another level with regards to intelligence. But I was wondering, could I work with this person, could I not? Because, all right, if they're intelligent doesn't mean that they're good at running a business. So what I normally do in that scenario is I normally start really small, and I'll start with a very small business that might only get to 2, 3, 5,000 a month. And that's almost the threshold of where that would get to. And if that can work, and we can do the sales and marketing to grow that to $5,000 a month, okay, now we can set up a second brand. Okay, now we can set up a third brand. You'll probably know because you're on the testimonials of a lot of the brands. Craig Campbell says that these are amazing. But obviously we've built now a lot of brands with him, and we're able to leverage that for a lot of our rank and rent kind of systems and processes. So yeah, I mean, it's difficult to choose the right business partner, very difficult. And that's why I like going slow. And a lot of the time when you first do that first business together, I reckon probably 8 out of 10 of those fail. But the 2 out of 10 that work well, then you can double down and treble down with them with. So I've got a lot of very good business partners now, and I've built out a lot of successful brands. But along the way, there's been a lot of mini failures of working with people that I'm like, I can't work with them. And a lot of the time when I'm looking at it, they might be intelligent, they might be good, they might even be good at onboarding staff and systems and processes. But when something goes wrong, which it will go wrong at some point, because life, like growth is never linear, it's a roller coaster. When something goes wrong, is this person going to roll up his sleeves and deal with the shit that we have got to deal with? Or is he just going to go and lie on the floor and just kind of bury his head in the sand and not deal with it? And it's those times you start to realise how good the business partners are. Because for me, you should be thriving off losing. Like, it'd be interesting next time you come down to the office, we've got a bell now, right? And when our systems and processes, if something breaks and something doesn't work, we ring the bell and we're all high-fiving each other. That's someone that's failed and we've done something wrong. Yet the culture now is to high-five them and go, brilliant, we can improve the systems, we can improve the processes. So that mentality of celebrating your losses, because now we're going to learn to improve upon it. You win or you learn.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big part of the business and the culture of what we've built now, that it allows people to expand outside of the comfort zone, to push those boundaries, to pull that elastic band to see how far it is before it snaps. So if there it snaps, we can pull it to here and we know that it's not. When majority of people have the elastic band to here and they stay there and they stay in the comfort zone, and that's why they're not successful.
Yeah.
Name me one billionaire that's been ridiculously successful, that built everything within his comfort zone. Bet you can't find me one.
No.
They've all pushed the boundaries. When you push those boundaries and get outside your comfort zone, that's where the fun then begins.
I've got another wee question for you. So you obviously mentioned that you will typically look at, like, say your weak area is technical SEO, and you look at that guy or that agency and you acquire it. Are you buying the full fucking thing, or are you saying, I want to invest 50%? How does that kind of deal work?
So that's a great question, because I generally deal with UK investments and normally buy quite a lot of UK businesses. And in the UK, if you own over 26.8% of a business, you've got a significant say in the business. So normally I'm acquiring normally around 27% or above.
Yeah.
Normally I want the business owner who's got the existing company to stay in the business, because they are normally the ones that have got the brains
And the skill
set that I want. So I'd probably only go 27, 30%, something like that. They've still got enough meat on the bone and enough skin in the game for them to make it exciting for them.
Yeah.
If I can double the size and double their profits, they're making more money than when they own 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm coming in, they're getting a cash injection, they're getting a payout. But if I can double it, if I double the business, they own 140%, if you get what I mean, the 70%, but it's worth double.
Yeah.
So they're actually 40% growth. So they're more than happy. I'm more than happy, because then I can put quality control measures in place to make certain that obviously we can scale and grow. But now I've got like leverage to be able to use that staff, because staff's never 100% busy, or very rarely. Yeah. Might only be running to 60, 70% capacity. So if I can just keep giving them bits of jobs, it's almost free labour in the background for my own projects, but I'm still growing the business, so the business owner that I've invested into is more than happy. And that's where the growth by acquisition model, or bolt-on acquisition model, can be brilliant, when you know, okay, I'm spending quite a lot of money here as an expense to the business, who can I acquire?
And do you ever, just out of curiosity for anyone obviously watching, do you ever get, like, you invest 30%, for example, in a business, and then the guy's like, Dooley, you're a bit fucking overkill with your fucking shit here trying to scale this up, like, fuck off, we're doing it my way. Do you ever, like, get into problems like that? And
once or twice, yeah.
And how do you get out of that? Because obviously you've invested.
Normally, generally speaking, is we, like, honest, trust and integrity. I'm looking them straight in the eye and I'm saying, like, this is what I want to do. Are you on board with it? Normally they're happy with growth. They do want growth. The first thing I'm looking to do is make certain that actually the business owner is the first person I'm trying to look at, to make certain that they don't have a headache. I don't want them to double the amount of work and they're doing double the amount of work and it becomes stressful for them. Yeah. So if anything, I'm like, majority of the time these business owners are brilliant technicians and brilliant at doing, let's say, the technical SEO in this scenario. They're not good at running a business.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you need to be doing that work? Can we not get a VA to actually save you time? So a lot of the time we're doubling the size of the business. And these, if they was working 50 hours a week before I came to them, might now only be working 35 hours a week, yet they're doing double the amount of work. Yeah. Because I'm trying to educate them, listen, let go. Yeah. Like, good is good enough. You don't need to chase perfection. Do you know what I mean? And that's where we normally come down to prioritization, procrastination, and perfectionist. I'm normally sat there with them one, I want to learn what they're doing anyway, so I can leverage the skills, because then we need to then get it into sales and marketing. Okay, this is what we do and this is what we're good at. But two, I don't want you working 50, 60 hours a week. That's not good. Like that technical SEO, or that person who's running the business, like you've just said before, needs to work on the business, not in the business. So because of that, normally it's twofold. Normally I'm growing what they're doing, they're happy, and normally I'm taking the stressful bits. What do you not like doing? Can we not get somebody else to do that? And we might need to hire a high level kind of technical specialist to take a lot of his work off. But sometimes when you break it down into step-by-step mini guides with SOPs, virtual assistants can do a lot of the work that you're doing. You just think you can't let that go. Oh no, I need to do that. No, you don't. So on to like time management and stuff like that, which we've both been talking about, of trying to delegate work, working on the business, not in the business, not being in the rat race of doing everything every day. How do you manage to... You've now got a lot of different brands. People only really know the front-facing brand of Craig Campbell. But Craig Campbell's now leveraged a lot of other brands of what you've grown out. How do you balance being very successful and being a great dad? Because I keep asking this question to people that are super successful. And generally speaking, you can't give all the time you would like to with the kids. And you can't be you can be successful and be a good dad. I'm not saying you can't be that, but where's this balancing act come from? Like, how do you manage to see your son, be a good dad, but also growth? Because males, generally speaking, want to go out and they want growth, they want to see progression and stuff like that. How do you manage to balance that?
I mean, it's not easy. Like, for example, I've had to sacrifice certain things, like my son's first day at school. I was hosting my own event in Vegas last year, missed his first day at school. But I think, obviously when you get delegation, business partners and stuff like that, I don't want to be working 60 hours a week. We've all done that stuff, and doing 17-hour shifts in your laptop and then going to sleep and then back up. You don't even brush your teeth back on it. And obviously when you have a kid, certainly for me inside, you're just like, God, I want to spend time with this guy. They're fun. You'll be the same with your kids. So it's just trying to get the balance right. And I've got in my head, I don't want to work at weekends and stuff like that. So, I'll spend family time at the weekends. I do it in the evening at night when I go home. I don't even look at my phone, turn the phone upside down. I'll play the computer with him, or we'll go out for something to eat or whatever. And I think obviously having that time is important. I think Gareth Hoyle once said to me as well when he was born, he says, Craig, take your wife and your kid everywhere you can whilst you can. He says, because when they go to school, it becomes even more difficult. So when Charlie was born, I used to take them to every conference I went to. So like in his first year, he was in 9 different countries, and I took him to Brighton SEO, I took him to America, I took him to all of those things as well. Because now it does get difficult because we can't just take him in and out of school when we feel like it. So obviously you've got to spend time abroad as you do as well. You're doing your hobbies as well, the horses and stuff like, which is obviously a business as well, no doubt. But so you've got to spend time apart. But I think it's healthy to spend that time apart as well. But obviously, I don't want to be that guy where your son's life passes you by, and you'll probably understand, like my son's 5 now, and you're just like, fuck, where did that time go? You're just crazy. Like, Jesus. And even when I see your kids on Facebook, and they're like, geez, I can remember when you were having your first kid, and then just obviously you had a second one not long after, and then you see them, you're like, geez, they've got full heads of hair, and you're just like, the time just flies so quickly. And I don't want to be that guy where I've been too busy with work, and then my kid's somehow 16 and he's left school, and he's moving out, and I've not enjoyed it. So I think you've got to try and make the most of them when they're there. And again, that comes down to how you set yourself up as a business, whether you've got the right people around about you to take charge of what they're supposed to do, delegating stuff, like even Sam there will do my slides and stuff as well. You know, she deals with all the graphics. So trying to delegate as much of that out as I possibly can, because people will say, Craig, how do you get time to go to all these conferences and do all these videos and do all of this, that and the next thing? Well, I mean, it doesn't take me long to create a video. She's the one doing a lot of the heavy lifting, not me. So I think, you know, doing that allows me the time to be able to spend time with the family and do things with them and go on holiday. Because one of the other things I'll never forget, again, going back to my agency days, I used to go to the hotel reception to get Wi-Fi at 7 a.m. and send people their work and all that, and, you know, do this, do that. I would be working whilst I was still on holiday because, again, I was a control freak. Whereas I could fuck off just now. If I need anything, I can WhatsApp her, can you send me this, can you do that, whatever, if I have to. But I would rather not. I would rather do the work before I go and then let them do their thing. And if anything blows up, by all means, call me. But, you know, I think that all comes down to your staff and your processes and systems. And even Graham came in and he's like, he's not part of my brand or anything, but into the business, and he wanted some videos and stuff done by Sam, and it was just hard. It was hard, and he's like, how does Craig's process look to you? And she's like, I just know what Craig wants. He just says what he wants and that's it. So when you've got people who are familiar with your style and stuff, it makes it 10 times easier as well, because I like her creativity. I don't really say, oh, you have to do this and you do that. If I like something in your video, I'm going to say, go fucking steal that shit off of him. I want mine to look like that. So again, it's all about delegation and stuff like that, which frees up a lot of my time. And I try and finish early on a Friday as well, is another thing that I've always tried to do. So it wasn't always that way, but that's what I try and do in my head, and I'm trying to also cut down the amount of travelling and stuff I do, because even when I left to go to Greece the other day, my little guy was cuddling. He's like, please don't go. He's crying and all that, and you're like, fuck, it's getting harder and harder. So it's one of those ones where it's you just got to go. But again, you know, I've also got to have in my head that when I go, I'm making money. And I'm providing for them as well. So you've got to get that balance of, do you want them to, my wife, you know, just brings my son up, you know, she doesn't have to go and work as well at the same time. So we're in a fortunate position where we've got a nice balance there. So
to wrap it up with regards to business, what's your biggest regret in business to date?
Biggest regret? I've got a few regrets in business. Obviously, the first one would be the ego and not letting go quicker. Because I've been in the industry for 22 years now. I didn't really make proper money for the first 15 years. You know, I made some money, nothing to really speak about. And that was when I had the agency and stuff. So yes, turnover was good, but I had a lot of overhead, and I was killing myself with stress and bogged down in the middle. And that's something that took me a long time to dawn on me, going, what the fuck is wrong? So that's a big regret, because it's one of the first things I say to younger people now who come for advice. And again, we've both done that with many people. You're just like, you have to drop the ego and the control freakiness and let that go. So that's one. But, you know, there's other businesses that I've got involved in where I'm an excitable guy, and I jump into things two-footed and then start thinking. And again, I don't know if it was naivety or being young at the time, but, you know, I jumped into the e-cigarette niche years ago, and two-footed, just looked at the search volume and thought, fuck, this is going to be the next big thing, let's get in about it. Fucking got someone to build the website, WooCommerce, had the products, you know, found a supplier and all that stuff, started doing SEO for it. And I never looked at the kind of business side of it, where you could only take payments through PayPal, you couldn't do any kind of paid ads and stuff like that. So again, I was rash with a lot of businesses that I get involved in, and I do regret some of the businesses I get involved in. Similarly, I've told the story about selling women's clothes. a rash decision, but I didn't understand the business, the returns, and all that kind of stuff. So I think
It kind of feels on that then, it's maybe certain things like FOMO, thinking the grass is always greener, or shiny object syndrome.
But you've
think,
probably got that
big
as well,
time, yeah, big time. Do you find that you've had to work on like the FOMO, the grass is greener, and those kind of traits that can be good because you can make you jump into something quickly, but the shiny object syndrome can make you scattered all over the place. Like you said, you just said at the start of the video that you've got rid of 5 businesses now. So it seems to be now that you're learning products. I'm exactly the same as you, mate. Like, I always think there's the next big thing. Oh, yeah, this is brilliant and stuff like that. And I jump into it and I'm like, I've already got a lot of things going on. I don't need to add more to the mix because I'm just diluting what my time is going to be spent across those different brands.
Yeah.
Like, are you specifically trying to build calluses on the brain to make certain that you go, no, I need to not do this again?
Absolutely. I probably turn down 10 opportunities a week, quite comfortably now. Whereas probably in the last few years, every time someone came with an idea, I'm like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
And that's where I had, and I've spoken about this business for years, like the online business flippers and all that. The website's still there, but just it just didn't work out with the kind of partners and their knowledge and experience. They were great guys, sales guys, and they could do things, but their knowledge of SEO wasn't quite there, and it just didn't work out that well. So yeah, but every opportunity, I'm like that, just like you, and I know you're that type of guy. Someone showed you a new tool or something, I know you'd be like, oh fuck, have you seen this? Look at this, get me over. And somehow you get roped in to either investing or getting equity for your marketing experience or whatever it can be. And that is something I've said to many people now, even people who've got amazing tools. There was a guy actually messaged me yesterday and he's like, Craig, I've got this tool, I need you to look at it. And I said to me, I can't look at this until December. Like, if I really want to look at this, I can't look at it until December because I'm travelling to conferences next week, and I'll be lying to you to humour you. You can go on a phone call going, oh yeah, it sounds good. So there's just, it's horrible to say no, because I think I come from a similar background to you where I didn't have that much. I'm not saying I came from like the gutter or anything. I certainly didn't come from a gutter, but I didn't come from any kind of wealth. So anytime you get an opportunity now, you're just like, fuck, and I think that comes from your kind of background. So, but yeah, I've had to literally say no.
I'd say that's my biggest regret in business is I didn't learn to say no fast enough. I used to say yes to everything. And if I could say no more, it would have certainly progressed me a lot further. I'd say probably the other one was not purchasing the bolt-on acquisition model quicker. Because that's the only thing I feel. I feel there's one thing in life that you can never buy, and that's time. But actually, indirectly, you can save time by acquiring existing businesses than starting new. So I feel like I'm leveraging time by buying and investing in existing businesses than keep trying to build new. I used to get an idea, let's build a new brand. Get an idea, let's build a new brand. Let's get an idea, let's build a new brand. And couldn't say no. Where now, I say no, like you said, a lot more. Probably, I'd go as far as saying 98% of the time. Yeah. Right, I probably say no. Two ideas that people come to me. But the ones that do come to me with a good idea, I'm now normally going, okay, what business can I acquire? Or what business can I do a merger and acquisition with? Or what business can I be an angel investor into? Because I don't want to start it from scratch when someone's already been doing it for 5 years. They've already got the staff. They might not be perfect, but I'm fine with that because now I can go in with my quality control measures to try and improve it. So, last question in business, retirement. Do you think you could ever retire?
No. I've thought about it. Even if I won the Euro Millions tomorrow or Friday, and I won 200 million, I would probably take 3 months just to recharge the batteries. But I would have to be involved in something. I'm going to make the assumption you're that exact type of guy as well. Yeah. I don't think you could give up. Like, if you weren't travelling around and sticking your nose in and, you know, wheeling and dealing or hustling or trying to figure things out, I think you would, you know, I mean, I can't see you just sitting with the kids and not getting involved in anything. And you might be able to do that, but I just think it's just doing things and helping people and growing things is kind of like a drug to some degree. And I don't know, even if I was 75, I reckon I'd still be giving something a go. It might only be part-time or whatever, but I don't think I could switch off. And you see a lot of older people who do retire and they die very quickly. I want to slow down as I get older, slow down and stuff like that, but I don't want to, you know, have more holidays. Of course I want more holidays and stuff, but I do not want to retire, man.
Do you know what's a weird thing? And I've thought about this hard. And I always kept saying, Dooley, you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. Of course you do. Of course you do. If someone give me a choice of winning the lottery tomorrow, I'd say no. And you'd be like, no, shout. I'm just like, it would kill me. Like, I need to earn the money. I need to get up and go out and hunt and earn the money. And I would choose not to win the lottery. Someone told me now, like, and I know it sounds crazy that, but genuinely think it would change my life for the worse. And because of that, I'd be like, no, don't want it. I want to earn the money. I want to get out. And like you said, it's the hustle. And I've seen so many people retire and die within 12, 18 months after they've retired and they're switched off. And I don't know whether it's the brain that's keeping everything going, the chemicals in the body that's keeping them going and stuff like that, and that adrenaline around of what it is. Maybe even little bits of the stress and stuff that business brings. That it's keeping them sane and keeping them alive. And I think for that reason, I definitely could not retire. And for that reason, I want to try and earn the money, not be gifted or win the money, if you get what I mean. So
I mean, it's kind of arguable though that you potentially have fucking won the lottery with some of the stuff you get involved in with those fucking horses and stuff. You're just like, fuck. But nah, I get it. You know, if you can earn it, it must give you a lot more satisfaction going, I've got X and I didn't have to win the lottery to achieve it. So I get that. And obviously, I think you live a diverse, you live a good lifestyle, but you get diverse income streams, which I think is also very, very smart, and something I've obviously seen over the years you doing. And as I say, I laugh, I joke about the horse racing thing, but you know, when you start getting involved in horses and your first horse died and you're like, this fucking guy, man, he's just fucking getting involved in horses and he's not got
I thought I've been scammed like big time, mate.
But you just get involved in shit and it turns to gold, and I you know, massively respect guys that just do something and it's not always the same thing. You're, you know, from what you were doing, I mean, you've probably always been passionate about horses or whatever, and I didn't know that, but to then just, you know, pulling horses out the back, you're like, fucking, what's this guy doing? But nah, I love it. I think, you know, it's entrepreneurs do that stuff, and yeah, it's funny, man. It's funny, but
well, Craig, it's been an absolute pleasure, and let's do a few more videos on personal branding and artificial intelligence.
Let's do it.
Cheers, guys.